Imagine a world where not a second goes unfilled. Screens in hand, playlists in ear, news feeds at every glance, yet a single still moment feels unbearable. Ask yourself, when was the last time you were truly bored? And what if escaping boredom is quietly stealing something vital from your life? Bertrand Russell, a philosopher who lived a century before the smartphone, saw this age coming, but he believed and proved that boredom isn't the enemy. It's life's secret ingredient. Stay with me as we discover why. In 1930, Bertrand Russell sat down to solve a simple riddle. Why, with all our comfort, do people feel empty? His answer, our terror of boredom and our hunger for excitement have gone too far. Russell called boredom essentially a thwarted desire for events. But not pleasant events, just events. The opposite of boredom isn't pleasure, it's excitement. Yet our pursuit of excitement, he argued, is a losing game. Every thrill raises the bar. The next thrill must be bigger. Eventually, even excitement bores us. Imagine a world where not a second goes unfilled. Screens in hand, playlists in ear, news feeds at every glance, yet a single still moment feels unbearable. Ask yourself, when was the last time you were truly bored? And what if escaping boredom is quietly stealing something vital from your life? Bertrand Russell, a philosopher who lived a century before the smartphone, saw this age coming, but he believed and proved that boredom isn't the enemy. It's life's secret ingredient. Stay with me as we discover why. In 1930, Bertrand Russell sat down to solve a simple riddle. Why, with all our comfort, do people feel empty? His answer, our terror of boredom and our hunger for excitement have gone too far. Russell called boredom essentially a thwarted desire for events. But not pleasant events, just events. The opposite of boredom isn't pleasure, it's excitement. Yet our pursuit of excitement, he argued, is a losing game. Every thrill raises the bar. The next thrill must be bigger. Eventually, even excitement bores us. This is what Russell calls fructifying boredom. When nothing distracts us, our minds finally roam. Children allowed to be bored, Russell argued, invent games, worlds, whole adventures. The same force drives the greatest scientists and artists. Enduring monotony, whether in research, rehearsals, or routine, trains the imagination to spark from emptiness. If we never get bored, we miss the birth of new ideas. When Bertrand Russell described fructifying boredom, he touched on a counterintuitive truth. The moments when nothing happens are precisely when our deepest creative engines begin to turn. Fructifying boredom is not a curse, but a fertile ground, an unplanted field awaiting seeds of imagination. When the world falls silent and distractions finally fade, the mind, no longer fed from the outside, is forced to search inward for stimulation. This search breeds invention. It is why, as Russell argued, children allowed to be bored end up creating games, elaborate fantasies, entire worlds from nothing but their restless minds. They transform absence into adventure, monotony into ingenuity, but this principle doesn't end in childhood. Russell saw the same pattern in the greatest adult creators, scientists spending lonely hours at their benches, artists practicing the same stroke for days, writers facing the blank page. Enduring monotony in their craft is not wasted time. It is the environment that forces new connections to form, new questions to rise. In our culture's desperate flight from boredom, we risk missing the spark that only emptiness can provide. When we fill every pause with noise, titillation, or novelty, we deprive ourselves of the mind's own capacity to craft, imagine, renew. Russell believed that tolerating, even embracing, fruitful boredom is essential for any life that seeks depth, originality, and resilience against the exhaustion of relentless excitement. In those stretches when we let ourselves be truly bored, we are not wasting time. We are preparing the ground for new ideas to take root and flourish. Russell didn't just see boredom as a creative force, he saw its avoidance as a moral and social risk. At least half the sins of mankind, Russell warns, are caused by the fear of boredom. Restlessness breeds quarrels, wars, even persecution. People terrified to sit with themselves act out, seeking stimulus without meaning, excitement without joy, action without purpose. Here's the paradox Russell exposes. Too little boredom and the desperate chase for constant excitement leads us right back to emptiness. The more we consume, the duller every pleasure becomes. Our inner lives become hollow, unable to savor or reflect. Boredom, avoided at all costs, returns amplified. Russell called this the fatigue of perpetual excitement. The more we run from boredom, the more it haunts us. But not all boredom is equal. Russell distinguished between fruitful boredom, a quiet, undistracted mind sparking new thoughts, and destructive boredom where no meaning or aim can be found. The difference? Fruitful boredom invites you to explore within. Destructive boredom traps you with no outlet, no purpose. Russell argues that both idleness and overstimulation can rot the mind, but with the right approach, boredom can be transformed into a wellspring of creativity. Russell's ultimate claim is bold. The power to endure boredom is essential for happiness. Mastery, artistry, resilience. Each demands the patience to face long, unstimulating stretches. A musician must practice scales. A philosopher must entertain stillness. Endurance through boredom develops discipline, reflection, and ultimately deeper satisfaction. Without learning to tolerate emptiness, we never discover the fullness of our own lives. Modern society, Russell feared, would become addicted to distraction. Hyperstimulation would dull our senses, erode contemplation, and make us less capable of real pleasure. He predicted the shallow hedonic treadmill, the relentless chase for stimulation that only intensifies the emptiness it seeks to erase. Even today, as anxiety and restlessness spread, his warning feels prophetic. He knew a society fleeing boredom is a society that cannot sit still long enough to dream, heal, or change. What then should we do? Russell's wisdom isn't just theoretical, it's practical. Build deliberate moments of quiet into your routine. Don't fill every gap. Resist the urge to substitute every moment's silence with entertainment. Teach children and yourself to withstand stillness, not dread it. Honor repetitive, simple rituals, gardening, walking, cooking, as anchors of meaning, not just dead time. Reflect, not react. Use boring moments as opportunities to check in, dream, ask new questions. What then should we do with this understanding of boredom? How can we put Russell's wisdom, so profound yet simple, into the fabric of our daily lives? His advice isn't merely philosophical, it's practical, actionable, and more relevant today than ever before. Let's explore specific ways to build what he called fructifying boredom into our routines and minds. First, create deliberate moments of quiet in your day. In a world that constantly floods us with noise and notifications, it might sound radical, but resist the urge to fill every passing minute with stimuli. Try starting small. 5 minutes of silence before breakfast, a walk outside without your phone, or sitting with your thoughts during your commute, instead of scrolling through social media. Apps that encourage focus, like Forest or Focus at Will, can support these moments by helping you resist digital distractions. Notice how even a brief pause, unfilled by entertainment or work, can sharpen your awareness and creativity. Next, resist substituting every moment's silence with entertainment. This temptation is insidious. Waiting in line, in traffic, or even during a brief pause tends to trigger reach for your phone reflexes. Instead, try to let that space be empty. Practice phone-free zones or no screen times, such as during meals, right after waking, or an hour before bed, so your mind becomes comfortable with quiet rather than electrically wired for constant input. Over time, you may find your mind opens toward daydreaming, reflection, or fresh ideas in these silent moments. Teaching children and ourselves to endure stillness rather than dread it is equally important. Screens have become powerful babysitters, but what happens when children learn to cope with their own company and quiet moments? Encourage kids to engage in unstructured play. Let them sit quietly and watch nature, or invite them to invent games from boredom. Research shows children who experience boredom develop better problem-solving skills and creativity. For adults, this means practicing mindfulness or meditation, slowing down the impulse to interrupt silence with noise or movement, and cultivating patience with stillness. Honor repetitive, simple rituals, not as dead time, but as anchors of meaning. Activities like gardening, cooking, cleaning, or walking might seem mundane, but these rituals create a rhythm that grounds us amidst chaos. Think about how gardeners watch seedling growth day by day, or how daily cooking connects us to tradition and nourishment. When done mindfully, these tasks become meditative practices, offering mental clarity and a break from overstimulation. For instance, try to transform your evening walk into a mindful exercise. Feel your footsteps, notice your surroundings, breathe deeply, and engage with the present moment. Finally, train yourself to reflect, not react, especially in those boring moments. Ryan Holiday, the modern Stoic author, suggests using mundane or frustrating times to check in with your emotions instead of seeking distraction. When a quiet moment arises, ask yourself, what am I really feeling? What dreams lie dormant? What questions about your life or work remain unanswered? Journaling can be a useful tool here, transforming boredom into insight. Writers often keep morning pages, a simple daily practice of free writing to explore the mind's landscape. Try it for a week, and you might notice new ideas and clarity emerging from what once felt like simply boredom. In summary, Russell's practical guidance opens a path from boredom to growth, one built on intentional quiet, resisting distraction, embracing stillness, finding meaning in simple rituals, and using silence for self-reflection. In a culture racing away from silence, choosing boredom could be the most radical, creative, and freeing act you undertake. Your mind deserves the space to breathe, wander, and ultimately flourish.